I'm part of the Mobile Monday team. I manage corporate partnerships at Rocketspace. So just before we start, I want to give a big shout out to Adobe for hosting us tonight, and also Nearsoft and Tout. They're in the back. Make sure you visit them before you leave. So what is Mobile Monday? So we're a grassroots community. There's about 100 of us chapters all around the world. There's 100,000 members combined, and we're always looking for more folks to get involved on the mobile side. So these are some of the locations. We got Silicon Valley, Seattle, Boston, Austin, New York. If you ever travel to any one of these cities, make sure pick the folks that are there. Usually they're very accommodating. They can show you around. So the question is, who's in the audience tonight? So we have about a third product marketing folks, a third biz dev guys, third developer. We got 1% designers. I need more of those. Every week it's the same. Some of our previous sponsors. Sponsors make this kind of event happen. So if you guys are looking for folks to make sure you're one of us. So who has Apple device in the audience right now? Let's see how active this survey is. Android? Really? How about Windows phones? Nokia? Windows? Alright, cool. So Apple is still winning. What is your role? So we have a lot of business guys, people here that want to do deals. We have product managers. We have a little bit of designers here, some developers. Moving on. Why are you attending? Networking is a big reason for why folks are here. Also to learn more about mobile education, and not many people are looking for jobs right now. What platform do you support right now? iOS, Android. Android's been going up and down. HTML5 obviously is coming up, and we see a little bit more on the Windows side. Really certain, not sure. What kind of SDKs do you currently use in the app? A lot of activities in analytics and advertising. Not as much in app promotion. And what type of ads are making more money? So installs are always big, banner ads, and videos coming up as well. So we do these executive dinners. The idea is that we bring executives that are mobile, maybe service providers, or folks that are going to start up doing really cool things in a private setting. We're going to 20 people max. If you're interested in sponsoring or hosting one of these dinners, we're happy to sort of collaborate and pull in the group. Next thing, we also have Mobile Monday Labs. These are smaller developer events, code on the wall, and there are 2 to 3 hour workshops once a month. We'll feature a company. It's hosted out of Verizon Innovation Center. And teams, we got starting from the top. We got Mario, we got Jose, Jeremiah in the back. Can every Mobile Monday team raise your hand real quick? All right, give it up. Okay, so we have a panel on retail and beauty, but before we get there, we want to go through 30 minutes of demos. If we get all the folks that are demoing come up to the stage right now. And let's switch. All right, so while Anthony's setting up. So this is Anthony from Link.me.
How's it looking? Thanks, Mike. Waiting for the first slide to come up. I actually founded Mobile Monday Melbourne back in Australia a long time ago as well. And it's heaps of people. It's been really interesting to see the ecosystems continue to grow and grow. Certainly before the iPhone, I've been mobile for 40 years, and originally was selling door to door back when was 16, and that was things like, Nokia 6110 and so on, to get to where we are now, which is just incredible. That's my resolution. It should just what it is. Take me good doing it here. Some plug-in. So while that's loading up, I'll keep just telling you all about Linkbee. So I've been in the US now for about 4 years, on and off, and here for the last 2 running Linkbee. Yeah, I might have to take a back seat for a sec to get my Mac up and running. So I'll pass it. Yeah.
Hello everyone, let's hope round 2 works. Alright, we're live. Alright. First off, my name is Michael Perry. I'm the CEO and founder of Giving.com. And wherever that magician is at, if he can find me after this, I'd love to take you to an investor meeting and we can just read after. That would make a huge difference probably. So, Giving is a service that we offer local merchants. We work with smaller businesses, typically tier 3, tier 4 size businesses, generally 15 employees or less. And we offer them a mobile solution to reach out to their customer database that then powers a real-time CRM that requires no maintenance. So this has gone over super well. We right now work with about 400 local merchants, and I'm actually going to show you guys. I don't know how to change screens here, but yeah, one second. Well, I'll go on about the CRM for a second. There you go. Oh, there we are. So what we've done is we've taken something that everyone is super comfortable with, and something that we've used in the past before mobile was the hot thing to use. And we've taken the traditional paper loyalty card. So we've worked with merchants to help them create a tailored loyalty system. So it could be your typical buy 10 coffees, get 1 coffee free. In the case of Flywheel, which is a cafe here in The Hague, they offer a buy 10 coffees, get 1 coffee free loyalty program. And with every single business we show, the last 10 customers that have come into the business. And I think this is a really great way for merchants to allow their customers to connect. We show validity for the business. I mean, check-in has been the previous way of building value socially, but we think by being able to connect people through purchases, it adds a tremendous value for local merchants. And then we've created what we call basically the modern day business card. It opens up, it shows the business store hours. You can kind of click on the map, get the name, the address. If they have a Twitter account or a Facebook page, it's all completely tied into the app. And our focus here is really delivering a really simple solution for merchants to engage with their customers without making it too frustrating. So we have this broken down between 2 sections on Giving. Cards is all stored on the cloud, so I guess you can say you have unlimited rewards in your pocket. And as you can see, we have a variety of businesses on Giving. It doesn't have to be just your typical cafe or eatery. As you can see, Cycle is a bike store here in San Francisco, and they do something that's buy 5 standard inner tubes, get 1 inner tube free. And with the simplicity of storing rewards, we also had to bring something super simple to allow merchants to get discovered. And so we realized that Compass was the most dynamic way of doing that. And there's 2 features in Compass. One is taking where we're standing right now and putting all local merchants around me and showing off their reward. And within that section, you can also go to a full screen and you can kind of see, to give you an idea, we work with about, like I said, 400 merchants in San Francisco, as well as 6 universities here in the Bay Area. And then of course the second way would be to go to browse. And this is broken down by either diving into categories if you're looking specifically for a retail business or a cafe, or simply by searching, which is kind of my favorite way of going about doing things. So you can search coffee, and it will pull up businesses around you that offer coffee as the reward. The neat thing is, I come from a brick and mortar background, so I understand the pain point for merchants having the accessibility to follow up with their customers and offer them world-class customer service. On a lot of businesses, as many of you know on an enterprise level, especially these biz dev guys in here, we have CRM tools to really allow us to have the accessibility to reach out to our customers, but as we all know, as business guys know, filling in the data and filling in the holes is awful. Like, it's terrible, we don't do a very good job, it's the end of the day, we want to go home, and with that, data gets kind of out of time. Am I running out of time?
5 minutes.
Okay, give me 30 seconds. So, the CRM, which is now gone, but if anyone wants to come up and talk to me, it's all completely managed, it's all completely manicured by your customer activity on the app. And the privilege is that customers can set up systems where they can send birthday rewards, they can catalog consumer purchasing behaviors. We're doing wildly great stuff that I wish I had the time to show off, but it seems I'm out of time. But if anyone would like to reach out to me, I'll be here through the end of the event. And of course, you can contact me, michael@giving.com. And anyone that wants to download the app are on iPhone and Android. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. All right, next up is shopnear.me. All right, so let's get Yuan and Eric on the stage. So Shop.me is a mobile app that discovers fashion around you, and it gives you live updates where you can instantly purchase. I'll let them show you the app.
Hi. So as you said, we like to connect you with local and independent boutique fashion. We believe that local business is a thriving ecosystem, but like any ecosystem, it can come under threat. So we want to help protect it and help it compete against larger chain retail. So we provide a mobile and web-based marketplace for our 50 merchants in San Francisco, and we're growing that as well. So we launched first on mobile, so since this is a mobile-themed event, we're going to demo that now.
Hi, my name is Yuan. So you're looking at the homepage for our Shop Near Me, and this is a product page. You can just scroll through the merchants and products. These are all geolocation based, close to you. You can also look at the shop page. Scroll down and see what boutiques are near you. Briefly sneak peek what products they offer. We also have the map feature, of course. You can also look at each boutique underneath the map. So we worked closely with local boutiques and try to feature their products instead of their shops only, give you more information about what they sell and what character their boutiques offer and what's differentiate them from bigger chains and other stores. You can follow independent boutiques. What that does is it sends you a push notification whenever there are new arrivals or sales events. They want to let you know. When I go back to the main page, you can dig in to each boutique. We tell you the information when they open. You can call them directions and share. And recently we just built in a very exciting feature that you can actually buy in our app. We want information and buy item. You can, I have to select the size. And you can select your delivery preference, either be delivered or in-store pickup.
What is the name of it?
Shop Near Me. It's on the iOS App Store.
And our website is shopnear.me. Our website is shopnear.me.
And we have, we're as Eric said, we're working with about 50 merchants right now in San Francisco, and we're doing a partnership with one of the local organizations, and hopefully to get over 100 stores on our app. We're really excited that we're able to bring the mobile platform to the local businesses and work closely with them. We would love to work with the developers and designers and anyone who are passionate about the same thing, and would love to talk to you.
All right, give it up. All right, this is take 2 for Link Me. There we go.
So as I said before, the company's Link.me, and we're the future of on-pack marketing. So retail is highly competitive. How do you communicate value? How do you create repeat customers? And how do you stand out in the crowd? We're focused more on working with the manufacturers and the brands that actually create the products and distribute through multiple retail destinations. So current advertising examples, they're broad targeting, expensive, not timely. Online has more relevancy, more timely. It's still hard for them to deliver specific offers though. So our focus is making packaging interactive. And this is where we sit in the distribution chain between the manufacturer and the retailer. So using LinkMe now, every product on a retail shelf can actually tell its story digitally, track its own location, reporting back to us where the consumer actually activated the tag, identify the customer so we create profiles of the users. Using that, we can deliver timely, relevant offers tied specifically to the retailer. For example, pushing an offer directly to the user's Safeway Club card. And in that environment, we're actually creating long-term value for the customer, the manufacturer, and the retailer. As we build our databases around specific retail stores, manufacturers can say, hey, let's do a partnership with Sephora, and we can drive more traffic back into your particular store because we have a database of, say, 5,000 people locally. And we build that database up amongst multiple retailers where the product is stocked. So for us, it's all about making the packaging interactive and using the packaging to deliver multimedia content special offers. So effectively, our tags go on the product packaging. We use QR, SMS, RFID. We're looking at image recognition at the moment. The one thing about us is we're not tied to one particular technology. We're technology agnostic in that environment. But what the shoppers do is they activate the tags on the packaging. So as you're looking at the packaging, reading the labels, the care instructions, whatever it might be, there'll be a tag, you can activate it, and we'll trigger an offer to you or some piece of content that the manufacturer has. What we do though on the back end is we're actually building the database around where the user is, where they activated the tag, and also their preferences. The big thing for us is what someone buys tells us a lot about who they are. You know, products targeted specifically to women, such as Urban Decay makeup, is not typically going to be bought by a male. And working with the manufacturers, we can find out from them who the target audience is for that particular product, and that information goes into the database. We can then use that data to allow the manufacturer to retarget the audience and drive them back into a particular retailer with a special offer or incentive. We do already work with Unilever. This is not, if you scan that tag now, you'll actually see an example of the user experience that we deliver. This is a demo experience. We're about to launch with one of Unilever's products, cosmetics brand called Own Products. But this is a demo we did for Unilever initially to get them on board. And that's it. So we're focused on changing the face of retail marketing, using product packaging as the call to action to get people to access content, special offers, incentives, and we use the data we build from that to drive people back into the retail stores. Thank you.
All right, looks like these guys are ready to go. You guys ready? Yeah, I don't have your bio set. we're waiting, are the CrowdLock guys here today? Okay, thanks.
So my name's Aaron, I'm the founder of Leaf. We actually came from Boston, so thank you for having us here on the other side of the United States. Anyhow, what we do is we're a brick and mortar platform. It's a platform for brick and mortar businesses to basically run and grow their shop. So all they need to do is basically hit us on the mail, do a Leaf account, they get this on the mail, and then they can put a Leaf presenter, which is pretty much this machine right here, on their counter and manage their shop online. What we do is basically POS, inventory, payments, and access to loyalty. I'm going to give you a quick demo of more or less how it works. We have about 50 locations using us in the East Coast. We actually just put out one this morning in Palo Alto. This is the first one in this coast as well. One of the differences that we do from all the dongle people and iPads or the Squares is that we're actually an open platform. We're completely payment agnostic, so merchant can pick any payment account that you want, or even multiple of them, right? So you can take Google Wallet and credit card services in the same device. We do the same thing for loyalty, so we're actually an open platform for loyalty. And we have a data CRM system that actually allows people to identify users when they're paying, not through mobile wallet, but actually through plastic. So we don't require behavioral change and people paying with mobile wallets to know who they are and start understanding big data from the other side of the counter. So just to give you a small demo here, this is one of our shops in Boston, so I'm going to be careful on how much I charge. So as you can see, basically we have different functionality as a typical Square or PayPal. We have much more functionality, multi-staff, multi-items, multi-catalogs, pretty much everything that an SMB market segment needs as compared to, unserved market, more or less. So I'm just going to bring up one of these items right here. We made a cupcake for today. Pretty much when I'm swiping the credit card, we have built technology on the payment gateway to actually identify who I am on the card. Hope it works. So the card is processing right now, and we're mining data on the card to understand we know who it is, if it needs real-time discount, and it automatically identifies who I am, hits my phone with a paperless receipt, right? From the paperless receipt, we can apply real-time loyalty, do feedback, do social media, so we do we do pictures of different inventory things that customers can share and actually empower your customers as a brick and mortar merchant to give you word of mouth. If you look more or less at the platform brick and mortar gets, right, that's the 1 cent I just spent, so we keep the receipts there real time, all the money they make, more or less like on Facebook for Business where they have a news feed of, different ratings, pretty much big events that happen that day. Other than that, we make it very easy, for typical POS things, so such as, inventory and menu, everything's super easy. People can do it from their phone. Small business owners can do it from their phone or online. When back then they had to do it on paper or, call a technician, a POS technician, to be able to do really small basic changes. So that's more or less who we are. We're actually over there, and if someone has a question, please come in and talk. Thank you.
All right, so next up, by the way, Giants is 5-1 right now. From Nate and Paul from Locate. So while they're setting up, they have a white label mobile analytics SDK that brands can plug into. They're working with some really cool brands and have them look at it. So this is our last demo. So the panelists, maybe you guys just come up to over here and then I guess set this up.
So hi everyone, we're Locate. I'm Nathan, this is Paul, co-founder, and we're building the world's most intelligent mobile app network. We're an SDK, so I'm afraid we have to be a bit creative with the app. So firstly, I'd like to introduce you to Fred. looks like we don't have Fred.
Meet Fred. Fred is an advertising executive. Fred has a problem. How can I send the right message to the right customer at the right time? Fred's customers all lead busy lives. To make matters worse for Fred, he's competing with lots of other Freds and lots of other ad networks. Fred was pretty unhappy until he found out about Locate. Locate is an intelligent mobile ad network that enables Fred to interact with his audience when they are most likely to engage. Here's how the magic happens. Locate enables Fred to understand his audience. Sally is busy, works hard, and works out. She also loves to shop. Locate computes this and delivers Fred's marketing messages to Sally at the times she is most likely to act on them. Locate enables Fred to deliver a relevant, timely piece of media when his customer is most likely to act on it. Fred's happy, he gets better engagement, increased conversion, and more sales. Start earning more revenue today with Locate.
So thank you, Fred. Like I said, we're an intelligent ad network, and the second half of this demo, we'd like to present the best bit of our app, which was kind of a little bit difficult to work out, but we thought, how about we share you a bit of big data? So we're going to try and put a bit of big data into practice, and big data with a retail bias. So Paul's just going to drop into our database, and he's going to pull some data on luxury shoppers, because we thought luxury shoppers would be of interest to you guys since you've got a retail bias. And these aren't just any old luxury shoppers, these are luxury shoppers who have been to malls in the last, well, kind of recently, we'll leave it like that. Mall, sorry, not British. Beta. Mobile. So Paul's limited down our subset of data so that we can plot this out on a graph for you. He's going to pull this data up now, and we're going to plot it out. This is live and it's real, so you know, hold on to something. I hope it works.
Yeah, I'll just take 400. I'll just take the first 400 or so data points. You can see with GPS Visualizer, you can drop the data points in. These, we've preloaded this to be luxury shoppers. So they have visited what we have established in our algorithm as a luxury shopping location recently. Within, I think we have this one set at 3 days, so I'll draw the map for you.
So we're just going to drop you a map in here. So imagine, I don't know, your Westfield malls, I know they've got something to do with tonight, and they want to know who are the people that are luxury shoppers that are visiting malls and have done in the last sort of 3 or 4 days. And this is a sort of slice and dice we're doing on data. Using metrics from mobile devices, and we can literally tell you whatever you want about your customers, potentially your competitors' customers. So that's what we're doing, putting big data into real life. I'm Nathan at locate.net, net, not com, not .co.uk. So it's Nathan at locate.net, and I'll be here all evening. So if you want to chat to me or to Paul, feel free. Thank you.
All right, so that's it for the demos. So who's ready to bring sexy back to retail? All right, so we have, just a quick intro. So we have Ben Choi from Coffee Table, Dave Bloomberg from Westfield Labs, Joanna from 360 Fashion. Where's Joanna? Hi. Daniel from Conference Ventures, used to be a Highland. And also we have our moderator, Charles Bell, so from Fashion, SF Fashion and Tech. So then Charles introduced the panel.
We're going to do selfie.
Hello? Hey, here we go. Okay. Can everybody hear me in the back? All right, sometimes I don't feel it. Thank you. What's the problem with having glasses this close? Okay, so hi. My name is Charles Bell. If
I probably haven't met a lot of you in this room, so let's take a very quick second to introduce myself. I am the co-founder of SF Fashion Tech. We are a multimedia company dedicated to innovation at the intersection of fashion and technology. Everyone here has a mobile device, so you can look us up at sffashtech.com. We are very excited to be here tonight. My co-founders floating around somewhere. We have a very unique panel here that I personally can't wait to engage with, and I hope you're as excited as I am as well. All of you are in mobile, so you know this is an area of huge amounts of opportunity, not just here in the United States, not just in the Valley, but around the world. And retail in particular has some fantastic opportunity on top of that. As the panel pointed out in the conversation, or some of the panel pointed out on the conversation before, this is one of the most unregulated, I think, environments out there at a time when things, regulation is kind of kicking down. So this is a great chance and a great opportunity for all of you to get involved and for us to just really engage something new. So tonight's agenda is going to be pretty simple, actually. First, the panel will introduce themselves, so just 2 to 3 minutes very briefly. Following that, we'll have a 45-minute conversation where we have questions that I'll be posing to the panel, and then there'll be a Q&A from the audience afterwards. So I think that's about it. We'll just go from here down the line. Next thing.
Here, I'll stand up since it's hard to see in the back. Hi, my name is Ben Choi. I'm the CEO of Coffee Table. Before I introduce myself, let me get a sense for who's in the room. There's a lot of us, and I haven't been to Mobile Money in a little while. So, how many people here are entrepreneurs? Okay. How many of you are developers? Cool. Please come talk to me afterwards. How many of you are retailers? We're in the e-commerce space. Okay, good. My VP of Sales, Paul Day, is in the back. He would love to talk to you as well. And then everybody else, I should know, right? Large tech companies, is that the other balance? Service providers? Okay, we're fans. Okay, cool. Coffee Table, we are the top-rated catalog shopping app in the App Store. We have an app on the iPad. If you remember these things in the mail, retailers ship about 15 billion of them a year. They come to your doorstep and they go straight to your trash, or a few of them make it onto your coffee table. When they make it to your coffee table, they drive about $270 billion in retail transactions in the US alone. Much bigger than the e-commerce world. It's how retailers market their products. So we take those catalogs and we make them available on the iPad. It's a pretty simple idea, huge market, and maybe the point I'll make to kind of get the session started is to say that I came from the e-commerce world. I'm a venture partner at Marathon, a venture capital firm started by Howard Schultz. Invested in many startups in the mobile space as well. I launched mobile services for Yahoo over a decade ago. And I didn't appreciate how sexy catalog shopping might be. And I thought that something my mom does. It's a massive industry. It's where retailers spend all the money. And I come as an ambassador on behalf of the retail world to the tech world in Silicon Valley that there's something really cool going on here. We have a huge opportunity. We got to wake up, leave behind the Groupon stuff, which everyone's an investor in, and actually pay attention to what's going on in retail and how we can actually transform the world. So, looking forward to the panel.
Dave Blumenfeld. I am head of partnerships for Westfield Labs. A few of you may have heard of Westfield Malls. If you told me a year ago I'd be working for the mall, I feel like it'd be hot dog on a stick or Orange Julius. But Westfield is a global shopping center company, Australian born. We actually have 109 centers worldwide. We do about 1.1 billion shopping sessions worldwide on an annual basis. And have about 24,000 tenants. And Westfield Labs is really like a startup within Westfield Malls. We are really focused on connecting the digital shopper with the physical world, and so working with a lot of companies to help make that a reality. Obviously, as the online and offline worlds blur, and I think eventually we're kind of moving to an area where it's really about total commerce. It's not offline versus online. We're really trying to enable that experience for the shopper from when they first start at home into the center and out of the center again, and hopefully kind of create that cycle over and over. So excited to be here, excited to meet a lot of you, and I will pass it along.
Hey, what's up? I am Joanna Riley Weidmiller, and I probably have the craziest story of anyone up here. I'm an entrepreneur and have a VC-backed startup here in Silicon Valley, but I'm also a partner of 360fashion.net, which is we build web and mobile applications for brands around the world. So we realized back in 2005 that fashion was changing forever and that we needed a place where we could really help brands communicate their message across borders. This has merged. I recently become the managing partner for Berta Media. How many people know Berta Media? Or DLD? Do you guys know DLD, the conference, Digital Life Design? Ooh, you guys should all know about that. It's in January, it's really good. Anyway, Berta Media is the third largest publisher in the world. We have about 306 magazines. And I run China. With our first magazine is actually our luxury magazine. So it's really interesting, actually. This is our panel because our biggest issue that we face is as our advertisers, they all want to advertise. The interesting thing is that 60% of their market are actually looking for information about these companies, multinational brands, luxury advertisers, Prada, Louis Vuitton, L'Oreal Group, you guys know these guys, Unilever. They actually, 80% of these don't have any mobile or web presence, and 60% of their market are only looking at them through the mobile phone. It's pretty nuts. So our opportunity doesn't stop at advertising on a page. We really look at a full solution. So that's what I'm doing. More of the international side as I've been in China for the last 5 years.
Thanks. Hey everybody, I'm Dan Rosen, founding partner at Commerce Ventures, a name you may not know because I just started it two months ago. Basically, I'm building a venture firm focused on innovations in the retail space, and specifically trying to harness the capabilities of digital marketing and digital customer and consumer lifecycle management to the physical retail world. I've spent the last 13 years in venture, investing in seed, Series A, and even in growth stage companies. And over the last several years of investing in kind of mobile and payments and commerce, I got closer and closer to kind of the physical point of sale. And I spent the first 4 years of my career as a clerk at CVS and Osco Drug. And what was surprising to me is that nothing had really changed in the last 15 years. So, however, in the online world, most e-commerce startups take advantage of acquisition cost and lifetime value methodologies to manage their marketing ROIs. Whereas, physical merchants who spend 10 times as much on marketing don't really take advantage of that at all. So what I'm excited about investing in are companies that enable physical merchants to act as efficiently as the online marketers, such as e-commerce players, audience model players on the web, and so that's kind of what I bring to the panel today.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. So what I want to do is I'm going to jump off actually with the term that David used, and that is the total commerce, the omni-channel. So mobile has created a true possibility of omni-channel. We've talked about this, a lot of people talk about this in a lot of different ways. Brands and retailers can now engage with consumers at home, on the way to the store, in the store, after they leave the store, and equally important, consumers can now engage in real time anywhere with other consumers, and this is really because of mobile. So the first thing I'll just kind of pose to you a little bit here, people claim that the rise of a consumer-driven economy is at hand. Mobile, especially tablets, have shifted even more power to consumers. What challenges will retailers face to keep consumers in the store because of mobile?
So obviously, I think probably the number one thing that people have heard about is the term called showrooming, which is I think something we've all done. You go into the store, you see something, you check the price, and you find out you can buy it cheaper somewhere else, and you leave the store and ultimately buy it online or buy it somewhere else. So I think number one thing that retailers have to do, and I think it really revolves around personalization, is understand using technology to understand when somebody actually comes into your store. Being able to deliver them content, information, deals, etc., to help keep them there, encourage them to transact, take advantage of the fact you have somebody in the store. People who visit the store are there for a couple of reasons. One, obviously they want the tactile shopping experience, but two, they want that immediacy. So if you can focus on both of those things combined with making sure they feel like they got a good deal, that's really what using the mobile phone and technology is all about. Because at the end of the day, that phone is essentially a personal kiosk, right? We all have a computer in our pockets now. You've got to leverage that to ultimately keep the customer there.
So building off that a little bit, Ben, as you actually have a mobile device, you work with brands. and the retailers. So what opportunities exist for brands and retailers to raise awareness by leveraging mobile devices? Or to put it another way, how have you worked with brands and retailers to leverage your mobile app in ways that maybe the audience?
So we work with 150 different retail brands, and we bring their catalog, their primary marketing material to our users on Coffee Table. We're a marketplace, and we bring them to the iPad in a cost-effective and efficient way. We've got pretty powerful data that connects that experience on the iPad, that digital experience, to multi-channel commerce. I think it's a great question you're asking about omni-channel and multi-channel commerce, because at the end of the day, people should be able to buy wherever we want to buy. If you want to buy online, buy online. If you want to go to a store, they should buy in the store. And it's not the consumer's job to buy and think about, oh, Best Buy, they have a website that they prefer me about buying in stores, so I should go into the store. That's not the consumer's job. The idea of showrooming, for example, it's an industry term that the industry complains about, but the consumer's job isn't to worry about, should I or should I not use my phone? If my phone's there, I'll use my phone. So from our perspective is, in the store, absolutely, there's a computer in your pocket. It's incumbent upon retailers to allow consumers who want to engage however they want to engage, with a phone or in person. I prefer, when I'm talking to a person, to talk to them face to face. If I'm sitting next to you, I don't like to take my phone out and text you when I'm sitting next to you. Same thing, if I'm in a store, I prefer actually for somebody to tell me the thing I'm looking at. So a great retail experience, Apple Store, for example, they've got people there to tell me things, even though their phone is this great assistive device. But when that person leaves and they go home, there's no more associate standing in front of me. So suddenly digital devices make a lot of sense. So for us, what we do is when they sit down on their sofa, they no longer pull their laptop out, they pull their iPad out. If you're maybe a developer, you pull your Android tablet out. But the rest of America pulls out this. We don't look at Android. When you go home, you sit down on your sofa, you lay down in bed, God forbid when you're in the toilet, you pull out your iPad and you hang out and you browse. You used to pull out catalogs if you were shopping. You bring those catalogs to an iPad. So we really are a partner. We position ourselves as a partner to retailers to make sure that they are where their consumers are, whenever their consumers want to engage with them, in that mindset. And on the iPad, it happens to be a larger format catalog user experience. In the store, it's a very different experience. And we have plans to branch out there, but we're not focused there today.
Sorry, just to add one thing. I think we hear this a lot in the PC industry about the concern about showrooming, and I think it's particularly a threat to certain retailers, specifically large format, and specifically consumer electronics individually. The truth of the matter is, Deloitte just put out a study that showed that consumers are on average 15% more, 14% more likely to make a purchase if they're using if they're using a mobile shopping app while they're shopping in a physical retail store. So actually, I think the data shows it actually helps people make a purchase in a physical store. There are obviously certain formats where it's a bigger threat, but actually I think that I agree with Ben. The biggest risk of mobile in retail is that you allow consumers to go without having a person-to-person experience, because that's actually what truly differentiates physical retail from e-commerce. And I think over time there's becoming a growing disparity between the guys who get that and the retailers who get that and the ones who don't.
Actually, yeah, I can ask you about how does media fit into this a little bit? We have this merger, it seems, it's fair to say. Mobile apps have allowed retailers and brands to almost take a media kind of role in terms of the content that they're delivering and how they're engaging with consumers.
Yeah, actually on two fronts. One is, I think there's a big challenge and there's a big opportunity, because it's not just the consumer that's uneducated or wants to know more information digitally. I think that the retailers themselves don't have the infrastructure, they don't have enough of their own product knowledge to know what they should be selling. And I think there's a big opportunity for technology to look at it on the other side too, which is how can you create an opportunity to quickly deliver to the retailers information about upselling. So if someone pulls a product, how do they know, looking at that product, what other products they might be interested in buying? And there's some interesting things going on right now. One of the girls I recently met is designing a platform for geometry and fashion. So when you buy a purse at Gucci, what other items do you want at Gucci? And for us, when I go to an advertiser and I'm asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're very interested in knowing how am I going to be able to be, tell my own consumers, these are the other items you should buy. And more retailers are switching their platform into understanding how are you going to do impulse sales and then increase the order size. And I think those two things, that is really their focus of retailers. And I think if technology can really leverage that with the consumers electronic or with consumers digitally, they're going to win. But on a 360 fashion, we have a mobile magazine, and what this does is it's a fully e-commerce mobile application that has everything from, it can be their news, it can have upselling, it can say, they can scan it with a QR code. So actually a lot of our retailers have incorporated into their swing tags. They put their QR code there, and when consumers or when shoppers are in the stores, they just actually scan over the QR code and the mobile magazine comes through. And it basically verifies why that brand is important, why they have, kind of giving them recognition. What people really care about is that is a good brand, that people like it, and really what their friends say. So we've also linked in a full social commerce, so full social communication. And as we look towards media really right now is trying to say, how can we leverage those two things? How can we make it so that the content that's being done online by the shoppers matches that of the retailers, and those two goals happen. There's a big breakdown because everyone in building e-commerce platforms wants people to buy on the e-commerce platform because that's how they make money. And everyone that's a retailer wants people to buy in stores. So it's the communication breakdown is very hard. So I think you look at companies like Nike who have done it well. They've really figured out how do you get their own customers more engaged with them through mobile devices, and at the same time get more people in stores. And some of their campaigns are seriously most of the innovative things that I've ever seen. How many of you guys have seen some of the stuff that's happening with Nike and mobile in retail? It's amazing. So if not, I urge you guys to check it out and look at it.
So let's actually stay with you for just a second. So we have two things that we talked about. Dan talked about consumer engagement, or being able to directly interact with the customer is still going to matter. You talked about brand engagement. We're talking mobile here, so we're really talking in many ways the empowerment of the consumer, right? So we're pushing it down to individuals. So that raises opportunities for brands, but it also raises challenges to control brand identity, something that luxury brands in particular are very, very, very concerned about. But what are some opportunities or challenges? We kind of go either way on this one. It's a double-edged sword that you see, and actually go back to that, Dan, I'll go to you next after this same kind of question. What are the opportunities that you see for maybe our audience, if they're entrepreneurs or they're developers, that mobile startups or mobile companies can help solve for them to keep control of their brand while still engaging with consumers?
I think that one way is to control the experience. And one of the things that I look for when I'm looking at digital platforms to work with our advertisers and work with us so that we can put it on top of our advertisers is basically how is there a user experience that is extremely easy, that the brands can understand, and at the same time does keep control of the comments or does keep control of really your user-generated content. There's a lot right now, even in China, we have 70% of users are generating commercials, branded content that they're basically putting back out to social media saying, look, I just created an application for, Louis Vuitton, or I just created a advertisement for Louis Vuitton. Well, Louis Vuitton doesn't want that. So they're putting that out somewhere. What we look at is how can we, we all have fallen in love with Pinterest, and there's something that's sexy about Pinterest, and what they've done is they've created that experience very easy to they've created a very beautiful user interface, at the same time resembling much of how advertising has looked. At the same time, they've really aggregated all of the comments, so a brand can immediately look at with whether it's one line of, whether it's one piece of clothing or whether it's a campaign that they're pushing, what is the response? And I think that an easy format, one that has literally 2 or 3 options for these retailers, they're really interested in, and they are interested more and more into going into those where it's not overbearing and kind of open for everybody in the world to tell you their comments.
Dan, I don't know if you can pick up a little bit on that, just because you did bring up the point of the importance of still having that consumer engagement.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about opportunities for people who are thinking about starting companies or developing products, think you sort of have to pick one side or the other, whether it's you know, a retailer or a consumer. And actually, we'll probably talk even more about brands. We're the third leg of the stool there. You got to pick one player and build something for them, solve a problem for them. I think for brands and for consumers, sorry, for brands and retailers, you're really solving a problem. You're enabling them to do something that they can't fundamentally do today. So think about the retail experience and what may be broken or what might be possible that they can do with the help of technology. There's a lot. For the consumer, it's really about what's an engaging consumer experience, something that I want to do. Because actually, even though I'm playing with email or text or Facebook when I'm in, or checking in with Foursquare when I'm in a store, actually getting me to fire up an app, I have to be inspired to do it when I'm in the store. There has to be some utility. I have to enjoy it. And so really rising above the fray. So for consumer, in today's kind of consumer web and mobile environment, it's got to be a compelling product experience that's engaging. And then with the idea that you're probably monetizing it with the retailers or with the brands who want to market or advertise to the consumers. The other way around, I think you have to solve a unique business problem and build a product around that business problem and solving it. Or maybe perhaps even on spec to get started. So there are a bunch of guys who are developing mobile apps for brands or for retailers. In fact, there's been some funding recently for kind of startups doing that. And I think that's the first leg of a business you can start to build once you understand the unique problems that party has. But you pay the entrance fee by solving the first problem and then listening to what else they want you to do. So it's a little bit of an ambiguous answer, but truly there's almost limitless opportunity here. And I think we'll get into a little bit more of them as we discuss some of the other topics on the panel, but it just depends on which party I think we want to serve.
I can chime in as well. You think about how consumers purchase things and how they consider things. You start at the top, you have purchase consideration, and then research, and then finally there's a purchase. At the bottom of that funnel, Google, Amazon, eBay own them, which is awesome as an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to sell something, find something that people already want and sell it. And then you can talk to Dan about customer acquisition costs because it's known. It's a known problem. You go out there, you buy AdWords, do some smart Facebook marketing, you get your cost of acquisition down because people already want it. You just need to give it to them in an effective way. There's only so much opportunity for that though, and so as an entrepreneur, you've got to be scrappy and find it, hope that nobody else sees it while you're building it, and go as fast as you can because those AdWords are just as available to the next guy as they are to you. What retailers and I think what media do, what you're speaking to, Joanna, is tell stories. They create demand for things at the top of that purchase funnel. When nobody thought they wanted it. Louis Vuitton convinced all of Asia that they really needed painted canvas bags, and it's phenomenal for thousands of dollars. They're really nice. It's nice canvas. They've created demand through telling stories. I think as an entrepreneur, if you want to look at that, and by the way, the marketing dollars spent there are, it's this big versus this big. It's the other 80% of marketing spend is out there, right? If you want to play there, help retailers tell a story, either as a media platform, right? Be a media, build an audience and allow advertisers to advertise with your content, or help retailers directly reach their audience and tell their story more effectively. For us, it's with catalogs. There are lots of different ways in the store experience elsewhere. I'll give one quick case study. We have a pure play e-commerce partner. They are at the bottom of the funnel. They're number 2 in their space. They're a $500 million business. They own the keywords they advertise on. They hang out on Google all the time. They think they know everything about their customers, and they can advertise in nobody's business on keyword search. They started to work with us, and we started bringing a catalog experience around their product category. And we're just finalizing some numbers now, but we found that by a consumer starting to browse through catalogs, they will spend 40% more in a purchase after they've looked at catalogs. Makes sense. It shows us some nice pictures of beautiful products that tell a story. They buy more. But e-commerce vendors they're just waking up to that because the e-commerce world has kind of grown as fast as they've grown. Now to the next level, to be as big as Best Buy, you've got to suddenly build stores, hire associates, send catalogs, and tell a story to be able to spend more. So I think for an entrepreneur, there's an opportunity there to build products and tools to help retailers tell that story more effectively.
Well, in that case, I'd like to build on this a little bit. We've heard the following terms now. Compelling product experience, help tell a story, and we kind of shifted to talking about what's going on in the store, because I think that's something that's important, at least from a retailer experience specifically. So mobile devices now allow retailers to leverage consumer phones, like as point-of-sale devices themselves. Apple is a fantastic example of this. It's already come up once on the panel. You can walk in, you can make a purchase, you can walk out, you don't even have to speak to anyone. For some people, they actually do love that. So just to start with David, I think on this one, what opportunities and challenges do you see the POS system, basically, the point-of-sale system, excuse me, that mobile devices can help, that can leverage, and that haven't been addressed yet?
Well, I think starting with some of the challenges, if you talk to most retailers have not updated their POS systems in probably 10 years. There's all these new companies coming out trying to integrate all these great things. You're going to tie into your inventory, get real-time inventory, publish that, for example. We're going to have kind of real-time transactions happening and have all that data linked together. The reality of the back end on most of these retailers, or even especially retailers, whose job is to invest in that kind of technology. It's a bunch of spaghetti noodles, to be honest with you. And so I think there's a huge technology adoption lifestyle that has to happen there. I think from an opportunity perspective, I mean, everybody sees, you go to your local coffee shop and you see 5 POS terminals from the 5 startups who are trying to do NFC or other other kind of mobile transaction technology solutions. I mean, I think NFC is really compelling, especially for all us who are early adopters. I think that the biggest challenge it has to overcome is honestly the convenience factor. Is it that much more convenient for me to tap my phone than it is for me to just pull out my credit card and swipe real quick? I think we'll get there, but I don't think the convenience factor is so compelling that there's this kind of onslaught that we all thought was going to happen originally is going to happen. It's going to take a long time. I mean, again, it'd be nice to have everything in my pocket with one device, but I think there is that convenience factor that is not so, the gap is not so great that it's going to wipe out the credit card industry anytime soon.
So I have to ask, because I know the VC here at the table, so we've got NFC, we've raised that, we have different Google Wallet perhaps, things of that nature. What would you like to see or have you seen in this space for opportunities for entrepreneurs to look for, that maybe, especially if you're a large company, can come in?
Make sure I understand the question. What opportunities in NFC or mobile payments? Or
Either, yes. Any kind of mobile payment system here.
So the opportunities I like in mobile payments are the ones that aren't overtly mobile payments. So I think probably everybody in this room, given where you live, is a fan of Uber. That's really nothing more than a mobile payments app. It's just one that we don't really think about that way because we find the app very useful. And the fact that we store our payment credential there is just kind of an additional kind of aspect of the feature of the application. Those are the applications, the mobile payment applications I think startups have the best shot at. Payments, mobile, retail, they're all 3 industries characterized by economies of scale and huge dominant industry players. Every day we read about a new mobile payments venture. Many of them are collaborative efforts by large retailers or large carriers. So the idea that a small startup can come in and compete, it's very challenging. It doesn't mean it won't be that none will be successful, but where mobile payments has been, where startups have had success comes like Square around acceptance, so the ability to bring acceptance to merchants who haven't traditionally accepted credit cards. That's interesting, typically smaller, micro merchants, informal merchants, or the ability to do something completely different. At Highland, my last firm, we were investors in Scavenger, which created Level Up, which many of you may have used. They're trying to make payment free if you use their platform, but then you only pay for new lift and purchases. Who knows if that'll be successful, but it's a different model. But generally, it's very difficult because the economy of scale businesses, and you're competing against a lot of incumbents. So the ones I like are the ones where you don't have to require somebody to completely change the way they think about kind of a payment tender, but really just focus on more value add.
Quick anecdote. How many people here use PayPal? Show of hands. Last week, I forgot my wallet. I take the train every day. I didn't think about the fact that I needed a wallet device to go home. So I watched 20 people on the Caltrain station here, 3 blocks from here, and probably because I stared at them, and 20 people said no, they didn't use PayPal. I've heard of PayPal, but I don't use PayPal. I couldn't pay people with my phone. I have the 5 wallets in this thing. I couldn't pay anybody with PayPal. I was like, finally some guy took pity on me and just handed me $10. Like, really, it's paid for. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We have to solve the problem, man.
I definitely think Ben has a really interesting point. We have to in order to solve this problem, you have to get out of Silicon Valley and go in the middle of the country and understand that that is your average consumer. That's who you're building for, because that's 99.9% of the world. And this is not, this bubble that we live in is amazing, where we, especially everyone in this room, we are all up to date with every which way to pay for something, but at the same time, it is very true, the retailers are old businesses. I mean, how many people have tried to teach their parents how to use Facebook? It's horrendous, right? Could you imagine doing that for over 10,000 employees? Because that's sometimes the size of these retailers. And trying to teach those people, I know you've done it this way, I know you've gone in and you've sold it this way, but this is the way we're going to do it now. And they're like, no, I just push this button and I like that. And they're going to give you every headache. So again, it is something you have to look at who your target audience is and understand, are you willing to take on that headache? With my startup, that's what we do. All of our companies have 10,000 plus employees. And we have to, when it comes to onboarding, I'm like, really? You don't have computers? Seriously? No? Okay. How am I going to start now? I mean, you really have to think, if you were going to start back with somebody who didn't understand anything about technology, how are you going to onboard huge enterprises? And that's the challenge. And if you can do that efficiently and possibly taking one piece of that, break it down and find one piece that you make awesome and sell that, and they're going to start adapting it, and you can build that platform to start changing POS. You can start changing platforms that way, but start somewhere small.
So actually, I'm going to kind of wrap this up with you again, David, because Westfield Labs, or Westfield Mall conglomerate, $40 billion a year, I think is that right? Yeah. $40 billion a year company, global. So we talk about malls, we're talking about really kind of infrastructure that's not very easy to change. So what are some ways we talk about POS systems are 10 years behind, we need to look at middle America and early adopters. What are some of the opportunities maybe for mobile to even change retail culture and how they're thinking?
Well, I think Ben brought it up earlier, and when you talk about the Apple Store, and we just had that experience actually was in the AT&T store today. They're clearly mimicking their Apple brethren and trying to do that. And I think the best case study, if you look out there right now, Burberry is really integrating digital into every experience. So whether it's kiosks, it's the kind of concierge type services where somebody walks up to you with an iPad. It's the kiosk in store where if you don't find the thing you want in store, but in most cases now, people who have an online presence, there's certainly more inventory online than they may have in store, but it's being able to actually kind of do that transaction in real time, either through a kiosk or through your personal device. Integrating touch screens. There's kind of special mirroring where you go try, essentially virtual dressing rooms where you can start to try on clothes or try on sunglasses, for example, in real time. So it's really kind of utilizing digital at all those different touch points. It's certainly something, again, that we're very interested in Westfield and just starting out to not only kind of help our retail partners, but ultimately, again, help the consumer get through that life cycle. I think Ben made another great point, which is I as a shopper, am not thinking about, gosh, I'm going to sit here online, and then I'm going to go offline, and then maybe I'll go online again. It's really about how you just integrate all those things into a more seamless experience.
Well, I think that's a good point to maybe kind of switch gears a little bit, to sticking with the theme, and that is utilizing digital across the board. And one thing another issue I should say, that mobile devices allow is kind of the passive collection of data in many ways. So just to make sure everyone's on the same page, there's a company, for example, in the South Bay called Euclid. They're seeking to become the Google offline analytics, and they allow companies to leverage consumer mobile information to gather information about that user. So you don't actually have to use the phone, they can just kind of collect information about you once you walk by the front door. So that's a huge opportunity. That's nothing that's terribly new in retail. Retail's had cameras before, they've counted people, this is just kind of leveraging that in different ways. But what is interesting is they're capturing new data. They're capturing different types of data. So what types of data do you think are not being collected about? And what opportunities do you feel exist for companies to leverage from mobile devices? So we'll start with retail, and then actually I want to get the whole panel on this question.
So, I mean, so using the Euclids of the world as an example, so just a little more color on some, for example, what they do. If you have Wi-Fi, for example, in the store, in the mall, basically they're taking that Wi-Fi ping, whether or not you're actually connected to the network or not, if you have a Wi-Fi enabled device, ultimately they're able to kind of understand, basically you're pinging the network constantly, and they're just essentially anonymously tracking a person around a specific area. So in the case of a mall, obviously you walk in the door, and theoretically, if your device is pinging that network, you can see that person throughout the path. Now, obviously, for retailers, for both mall companies as well as retailers, it's pretty interesting to understand, hey, what are the areas, as a mall, what are the areas that people are going to? We have a term internally called precincts, where people specifically design malls and where the retailers go for specific reasons, so that obviously that's good for the consumer, but ultimately it helps us understand where people are going, but more importantly, helps the retailer understand kind of why people are going to specific places. And I think just scratching the surface, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, you talk about things like big data, again, another term that's thrown around a lot, but nobody really gives a great definition of. But if you start to mine the kind of the habits and some of the nuggets that are in that data, not just seeing a heat map, which doesn't really tell you a whole lot other than there were a lot of people here versus over here. There's some pretty interesting things that I think we ultimately get out of that, and I know that would probably lead into the next question, which is privacy. But at the end of the day, as long as it's anonymous and you can start to tie that data maybe with things that are happening outside of the specific retailer or the mall, to me that gets pretty interesting.
Yeah, we're big believers in data exhaust. And for the cocktail experience, one of the major reasons why retailers work with us is we collect amazing amounts of data on how consumers interact with the catalog. And if you ask Victoria's Secret, we send 300 million catalogs a year. How many people open up the catalog and get to page 10? Page 11, page 15. What happens if you take page 15 out? And so this guy receives 20 million of those, and he probably spends a lot of time on page 16 or 17. So the point is, Victoria's Secret doesn't know. They have no analytics on this huge area of market spend. They can tell you all about their website traffic, that small sliver of their business. They can tell you a bit about that they need to use Euclid for a store, and they need to use things like Profit Table to help them get visibility into how the consumers are engaging with other marketing materials and connect that back to transactions. So that's the piece where I think something from Profit Table, connecting the digital experience that you provide, your startup provides to the rest of the business, closing that loop is I think, an opportunity for any entrepreneurs. For us, we're trying to do that, and as we're able to do that for large retailers, suddenly lights are going off. They're realizing, crap, if we made this little small change here, now we can see the change for the rest of my business, not just what Coffee is doing. So there's a big opportunity there for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I don't think we can echo that enough. I mean, anybody who can help tie the data from the funnel to an actual, the data actually at the point of sale, whether that's electronic or in person, that is truly the holy grail, because the marketing budgets are, this is the industry with the largest marketing budgets, and it's one of the largest industries of any, certainly the largest unregulated industry. So the ability to actually make those marketing dollars, which are mostly offline right now, and performance oriented, efficient across digital channels is a huge opportunity. I think, to answer your question about what retailers are doing well or what are the opportunities in terms of collecting data, I think they're not really doing many things well in terms of collecting data. I think they're doing even less well in terms of analyzing it. They just don't have the resources. First of all, I don't know that any of us yet realize what the right data is to collect. And certainly, the model has to change in terms of having smart folks around who can help analyze it. But it's interesting because the first wave of the web was how do we take traditional offline processes and bring them online, mimic them. And I think now we're taking things that work online and try to bring them to the offline world to make them more efficient and more effective. But if you think about Google Analytics for the real world, Euclid or Nearby does some similar stuff, or ShopKick. There's also how do you think about site optimization? Which should my floor layout be in a retailer based upon what I see in video analytics, or tracking somebody's Wi-Fi signal when moving through the store, or what product they're picking out when they're walking down an aisle, and what's the next product that they pick up. And so the merchandising opportunities there are huge. Validating in-store promotional spend by confirming that an actual sort of like, click fraud. Did my promotion of display actually go up? So I can't stress that there are limitless opportunities in an industry where the spend is $4 trillion a year. There's so many opportunities for innovation, and I think it just takes immersing yourself in this ecosystem for a while. And I guarantee you, if you're really entrepreneurial-minded, you'll find some interesting problems to solve.
Sure, I mean, they kind of said it all, but I think also there's an opportunity to track, you're just saying that really what product is next, where they go and they buy. This gives back information to retailers, what they can start lumping together. Buying is done in trends. People have, there's so many things that will go with other items, and I think that if you build a platform that will allow them to easily know that, if you can build a platform that's both informative to the shopper as well as to the retailer, you're going to win. And they don't know what's going on. They don't understand what am I supposed to upsell. So if you can track that, that'd be great. I also think that there's an opportunity to track VIP customers, repeat buyers. This isn't something that we do very well. It's like mass emails. It's like, all right, you bought something new, now we're going to spam you forever. I really don't want anything. I'll lie on my email. The last thing is, you need to remember, you are a user yourself. There's we look at a lot of mobile applications with 360 Fashion where it will be NFC, or we will use, mobile triangulation to drop in mobile magazines or a product. We'll put something through the mobile. You have to think, these are people on the other end. Could you imagine if that was you? Would you want this to happen all the time? And if everyone adopted the strategy, how would it affect the whole industry as a whole? And I think most people would be pushing away at that point. Most people aren't even going to engage with their mobile phone. So creating something smart that does track who your best buyers are and keeping those people engaged is a big opportunity they're missing.
Perfect. So just boiling down what Dan was saying, I think at the end of the day, Google Analytics was created, two primary reasons, right? One, to see the performance of your site, and two, to see the performance of your marketing. You can do the same thing in an offline world, so see essentially the performance of your store, and ultimately how effective your marketing is. You get the same kind of bang that you get in the online world today.
I have to close this loop a little bit, especially since you brought it up earlier in the first response, and that is there's a lot going on in the privacy space right now. So EFTC, for example, is very active in privacy at the moment. The state of California just made an agreement with Apple, Google, Microsoft, HP, RIM, and I think it's Amazon in terms of how they're going to deal with mobile developers, mobile applications. So that's very important now. It's going to be included in, going forward, you always have to keep this in mind. But consumer data has generally been marketing data. It's been pretty open. People can collect it as they will. But what are some of the things, and Joanne actually touched on this really well, remembering that we are consumers as well as producers. What are some things that you think are practices that mobile device companies might want to keep in mind as they're building these tools? Examples might be like Notice, ability to delete, things of that nature.
I'll kick it off and then quickly punt. So I think, at the end of the day, you hear, again, a lot of, it's not defined yet. I think bottom line is, and I think from a Westfield perspective, we're also going to do whatever the law claims we need to do. But at the end of the day, it's about things like opt-out, whether it's Trustee or some other folks who are trying to define what policies are in the mobile space. My previous company, Jywire, location-based mobile media company, leveraging both Wi-Fi and mobile apps. They've done a lot around kind of working with folks like Trustee to make sure that they have an opt-out policy. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to comply. I think there's a long way to go in terms of what the standards are going to be. But I think it'll be interesting to kind of see where that line ultimately shakes out.
I have to ask Ben, of course, since Ben, you're in the middle of it right now. How are you dealing with it? Is there anything that you can maybe share with the audience about maybe things you keep in mind, or you just ignore everything and just collect it all until you
Reflect everything. When I was when I worked at Venture Capital for my day job, I would ask lots of questions about privacy. And now that I'm on the entrepreneur side, I worry much less about it.
Here's your takeaway.
Here's a different takeaway, just to try to become controversial. You have no privacy. There's no privacy. online we worry about privacy because there's so much data. But in the offline world, Victoria's Secret sends everybody here a catalog. They get it into your home. It goes they pass through your door. It's the most intrusive thing that you can imagine. And so do other retailers, so do a bunch of direct marketers. They have access because the US Postal Service gives it to them. And they buy your name. They buy your name from data resellers who have amazing amounts of data on you. Experian has several thousand data points on if you're in a market for a car, for a home, for a baby, how old's your baby, how many babies do you have? And they have amazing amounts of data. And online, worry about that because it's all digital. It's all offline and available, and traditional marketers spend a lot of money on that data. So it's actually a big part of our business to at least at an aggregate level provide analytics and tie what's going on here to all the data that they have. We let them deal with the privacy issues, but it's a huge opportunity. It's the one analogy I'll leave with is I think of retailers, traditional marketers as a blind man. They don't have 1 in 8 cents, which is they can't be there and watch every single transaction, every single interaction. But they have developed really acute hearing, really acute smell, and really acute touch. They have amazing sense for the little data that they get. In contrast, us spoiled kids in the e-commerce world and the technology digital world, we've got site, we've got everything, but we don't do anything with it. We just kind of blindly walk around and bump into customers once in a while, and we worry about privacy because of that. So I think we have a lot. Certainly, I have learned a lot from retailers and learned about how sophisticated they actually are. I'm freaked out by how much they know about me and my family's spending behavior, and how smart they are about marketing using that. And now that I've gotten over the freaked out part, I'm selling to them as really smart buyers of what I have to offer.
So is it fair to say a little bit, I'll get to you again, don't worry, because I know you had something to say. Yeah, is it fair to say that you touched on 2 things? One is that you collect a huge amount of data, but then you actually pass that data off. So that's almost a practice that you can say, hey, look, we do collect the information, we don't necessarily look at the information, we're going to pass that to the brand or retailer that we're working with. So that's one thing that maybe we can kind of take out of this particular practice, even with your information you're collecting, your tools around that. The second thing that you reminded me of, is that fair? Okay. The second thing you reminded me of is everyone's familiar with the Target story. And everyone's familiar with the Target story. Target sent a catalog to a minor. Congratulations on having a child, and you're pregnant. Come to Target, we've got these great offers for you. The father went into a Target store and proceeded to scream and yell and cuss out the store manager. Several days later, the store manager called to follow up with the father, just apologize again. The father actually said, no, my bad. She actually was pregnant. Actually, it turned out Target was able to leverage information about purchasing habits to identify pregnant women very early. Now what they do, kind of going along your lines, is they actually take that information, they hide it within the catalog, and they spread it out in specific ways, and they still send you the catalog. But it doesn't look as obvious on the front, and they don't say congratulations.
So, the data they infer from transactions versus all the other data that we could be inferring from on the website or from all of the marketing. That's where, in our business, we're trying to inject data into those models. But they've got models. They've got PhDs who work fancy algorithms to figure out what the credit looks like. And we want to tell them where they are too.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to echo Ben's comment about just to encourage anybody who's thinking about starting a company or not starting one. I think a couple things to remember. First of all, the guys you always hear about in these privacy scandals are bigger companies. It's not to say that you should skirt privacy regulation. It's just as a smaller company, you're less likely to run into a problem with it early on. I think it's smart. This is off the record, but I think Ben's rule of collect all data you can, short of PCI and HIPAA data. I think everything else, I would try to collect everything you can. Unregulated data. But be very, very careful what you share. And actually, privacy becomes more of an issue when you start to share or act upon data. So the ingest, usually not a problem. When you're actually giving the data away, that's where the problems start to happen. Think very carefully about disclosure. Think very carefully about terms of service. There's plenty of decent lawyers out there who can help you with privacy. With privacy policies, trustees, good at that as well. I think it's good. It continues to be science, not art. Don't stress too much about it as a startup. Figure out a model that works. Obviously, if your model is selling data, you ought to really spend time on this. Short of that, if it's at targeting ads and things like that, there's ways to solve for this. So don't let it be a huge obstacle.
I think people said ways around this. I think that was
all off the record.
Yeah. Well, so we're getting close to the end, and I want to give the audience a chance to ask questions. So I want to wrap up this with some final questions. We're going to each do one of them, and you can answer all of them. So we'll start with starting for Ben. So in general, we're talking about mobile, we're talking about retail. What are some practices with developers to keep in mind that you've learned? Mobile retail, yeah. So you're working with the heat maps, you're with the data collection, you're doing stores, what are some things maybe to keep in mind that you'd say to a young startup out there, hey, here's some things to think about.
So my background is web and e-commerce, and so going into mobile e-commerce, all of the modern analytics tools are just so cool. Real-time, event-based, infinite properties to the second. So we use a Circle Mix panel for that. Wire everything up as a product person or as a developer and learn about what's going on to the second, both by watching the stream of data, but also think about tagging everything with segmentation data so you can actually step back from hopefully the large stream of data you're going to get from all your users. You can see things aggregate. We learn a lot of coffee table from our users by watching what they do, and it's at the scale now where we can't be creepy and watch individual people. We have to watch in aggregate. We can only do that because of the tools available. That stuff wasn't available when I was doing web stuff 10 years ago. So that's definitely a modern, it's not necessarily mobile specific, but certainly it's certainly much more prominent in the mobile context.
Moving to Dave. Excuse me. What do retailers need now? What do retailers need now for mobile? So what are their most immediate needs?
Mobile specifically?
Yeah.
I think they need a mobile presence to begin with. I think you look at the stat was quoted earlier, something like 78% of retailers don't have a mobile presence, at least a mobile optimized experience. And again, when this has kind of become your personal shopping assistant, whether you're sitting at home with the couch pad or actually out and about with your iPhone or your Android device, you've got to have an experience that at least is halfway decent. And you talk about kind of brand identity and all those other things. You can start to degrade your brand through having a crappy experience. I'm not going to go back. It's just like anything else. And so I think job number one is literally to have a mobile presence. And then to start to do some of the things we've talked about in terms of personalization and things you can actually do, perhaps in store to deliver experience that you get that is different from when you're not in store.
So kind of flipping that a little bit, Joanna, what trends in mobile retail actually do you find most promising or interesting?
Yeah. So I think that engaging customers while in store, or getting people to get into stores, is a big opportunity. So finding ways to not necessarily just think e-commerce as the eBay type e-commerce, here are products, buy now, but instead you bought this, stay engaged with the customer, and continue to buy products that aren't necessarily in that store. As I told you guys, I lived in China for 5 years, and the Chinese buy really different things than Americans. So not only that, they're a lot smaller than me. So all my sweaters went to here, my pants, I had high waters all the time. No, I didn't buy my clothes, but that was part of the problem. I went into H&M and it was like, whoa, what is this? I mean, I would fly to Hong Kong and come home with 3 extra suitcases because Hong Kong at least is closer, but still off from America or still off from Europe. And I think you have to remember that is who are you trying to engage, and also what are the opportunities that lie? I'm a big fan of certain brands, and how is a retailer going to know that? And then how are they going to engage with me to, once I'm in the store and I made the transaction, or even in the store and I've shown a certain amount of time in that store, you can do that tracking with analytics. But if I stayed in that store for a certain amount of time, I'm obviously interested in knowing what that time limit is, and then being able to push information to me that I want and that I'm going to be able to interact with in a user experience friendly way, in a friendly user experience way that is seamless. Those are, I think, the most promising.
And Dan, the last question here, coming from a PC side, what market do you think is maybe most underserved or has some opportunities in the sense like small business, big brands, luxury brands, maybe or maybe high consumers? Just maybe one or two of those.
Yeah, I'd say that. So it's always going to be the small businesses. So the way to think about that is, especially it starts with retail, because retail is generally a low margin industry. So the smallest retailers have the smallest amount of money to play with. So they generally have the least access to technology resources. So those guys are the least served. Is why folks like Square, I think, have had some interesting success early on by bringing basic innovations that they just have never had access to because they're just really simple and easy to use with their daily technology. I would also, the same thing applies to brands. So if you're a small-ish brand, but a friend who runs marketing for a $500 million brand, and they spend $500,000 on marketing, so just way under-resourced. So I think it's the smaller, and I wouldn't think of it as a small business, but it's the smaller guys who really need the most help. Ironically, the bigger guys are spending real money right now, so they'll be your lighthouse accounts. So there's two different strategies if you're serving small guys versus big guys, but I think the guys who are being served are always the small people.
Thank you very much. We have time for maybe one or two questions, if anybody has any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Just raise your hand.
Online marketers right now are really interested in knowing what they've done that's driven traffic into a store. So the online marketing department's like, I'm doing all this work, but they're going to go to the store and buy. And maybe vice versa. Is there anything that you can think of that people have done in mobile space that can track those types of things so that they can attribute the sales to the right, the result? I would say Ben and all of you guys.
Well, you can tell it. It's one.
So I don't know if you call this mobile specific, but I think one clear opportunity right now is if you have a digital presence and a physical presence, or to do that, leverage the local presence that you have. So order online, pick up in store, or offer return, for example, so that you can actually start to connect those two things. Because again, as we talked about, I think it's no longer just doing things online or just doing things offline. So that services piece. One of the things that I'm most excited about is companies here locally like Postmates, TaskRabbit, a company in the UK called Shuttle. All these guys, all this the same day delivery phenomenon that's happening. Again, I think one of the ways you can start to connect those two pieces.
One more question? Oh, wait, last question?
So, I know that everybody is on talk, but my question is, for the free TV and my free ads, what do you guys think of given that everybody is on talk?
So I think the opportunity there is to create direct response channels that connect offline to digital. Offline's not going away. Billboards are still going to exist. Print media is going to exist for a while. TV is still going to still broadcast TV. The ability to have whether it's QR codes, Shazam codes, short codes, 3-day down codes. There's a bunch of different really mobile call to actions, almost for mobile direct response. I think there's a bunch of different channels to try. Some are free, some are not, so you can try a bunch of different areas. There's a lot of brands who are trying them now, and some with very substantial success.
I think there's also an opportunity, one of the applications we create with 360 Fashion is having really good response with advertisers. You're speaking my language. I do magazines, so I hope it's not completely dead, but it's actually fourth on the list of consumer buying products. So if you look at it, you've got people that go to the store, then they're going to want to know what the website says or what the mobile phone says, so they're going to try and back up that product if it's a new brand. Even if we have our favorite brands, and even if you know of a brand, it's the first time you bought from that brand, that is a new experience for you. So you have your reaction in the store, and then you're going to check out what happens online or via mobile with those people. And then you're going to look at your friends. What are your friends saying? Are your friends liking, do they like this? Do they think it looks good on you? A lot of, virtual thank you. Sorry, guys. I just landed from China, like, in the morning, so, sorry. But yes, virtual dressing rooms are happening all over the place. We've all seen different varieties, and this is a big thing because it's a way to upload socially, you know, do you like this product, should I buy it? But then the fourth one is actually print. So it's still very high on that list of why people buy a product. And one of the applications that we have that's seen such promise is augmented reality, and being able to create a story. You know, Ben was talking about it earlier, being able to create a story through augmented reality and using the mobile to engage with print. Print matters. How many people have a Mac, do they love picking up magazines versus looking at it on their iPad? Thank you, me too. You guys are my favorite.
You can't take an iPad
five
to the
people. What?
You don't want to take an iPad in the bathtub.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm sure some people try. But, you know, there is something, in our magazines we have, you know, we do a lot of events with our advertisers, and our advertisers right now are saying it's really going into a connoisseurship market, if you will. It's no longer mass buying and looking on a platform and just clicking and purchasing. Really, people are looking at how do I find my own style? How do I get information from influencers? How do I get feedback from that? And advertising has a unique ability to really go into that. How has the story evolved through history, but then also how are they looking towards the future? You know, Burberry, saying that Burberry is doing an amazing, they're a great example. As I already said, Nike, they're also a great example. As you can see, more and more ads are doing QR codes, and more ads are starting to. Ralph Lauren was the first augmented reality application, and you know, with our own covers, we're thinking about inputting augmented reality.
So with that, I want to do one quick little wrap up, and that is, I think it's pretty clear from tonight and tonight's panel that opportunity is limitless. I think that's come up multiple times. So this is a great space to be in. Data is everywhere. Collect it. Be careful with it. Think about Middle America. Think about who your customer is. If it's the edge, or if you're really going towards, you know, the rest of the world. And finally, mobile allows omni-channel in a way, an experience in a way that heretofore has been unprecedented. And that's something that's very exciting. So I'd like to thank you for coming. I'd like to thank Mobile Monday for hosting and Adobe for sponsoring, and I'd like to thank the panel.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna wrap up here in a bit. Next month we have a gambling themed Mobile Monday, so it'll be poker and stuff happening. We'll see. Keep in touch with us on the website. We're gonna send a thank you email to everybody with contact info. How do you know the panelists? We're gonna speak to them. You can come up. And thank you again for coming. And thanks for
Thank you.